Hey guys, how's it going? Onich here, and welcome to a new video. This video will be a little bit special because I have a guest. He is Justin. He comes from Box Gaming, and he is here to do like a little bit of an interview, kind of that stuff. He will be reading your questions that you have sent me in the comment section of the update video, which was a little bit about ARL as well. So welcome, Justin.
Yeah, thank you. Very happy to be here. Yeah, I see some of the Box subscribers are actually some of the people asking questions, so it should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, me too. So I think let's just start off and get the first question.
All right. First question comes from Stin Van Selling, and he asks in English. Thank you for doing it in English for me. Do you also watch the videos of Alex Gillen? How is it to see yourself racing in his videos?
Quite a good question. I do watch the videos of Alex Gillen. I'm pretty much used to doing that since since I know him, since he is in the league. But how is it? I don't know. I don't really have a special feeling with it or something like it. Obviously, when you see yourself driving, you become a bit more critical than you would normally be, and see points where you might be able to improve yourself. But it's not really anything special to be honest. So it's just normal, I guess.
Yeah, it can definitely be a useful learning tool, though, certainly.
Yeah.
Second question comes from James Clift. How do you learn the breaking points for each track?
It's quite a good question, and it's actually quite a difficult answer to give as well. You obviously have the breaking markers, like 100-meter boards that you can use as a marker, but usually I just pick a random point, and if it feels right, I take that point throughout the whole race or throughout the whole practice. But sometimes you break too early. I don't know. You just have to adjust and get a good feeling for it. That's basically it. When you get a good feeling for it, it will become natural, and yeah, it's easy from then on.
Do you think watching the real life F1 races helps with the breaking points at all? Gives you a little bit of knowledge going into it?
Yeah, good question. I definitely think it helps, especially the track layouts. I mean, when you watch F1, it's very easy to know the track layout and which corner comes next. So that definitely helps. But obviously, it's a game and it's a little bit different from real life. Also with the breaking points. So it definitely helps.
Yeah, definitely. Now the next question comes from Saturn185. What was your finest moment in ARL and your worst moment?
Very good questions. Finest. I don't really know actually. I had the championship once, and I cannot really remember anything about what happened in the past. I think definitely the championship was one of the finest moments, but also I have had some great moments last season, this season as well, but that is thanks to the it's more competitive basically, with Alex definitely, and also some other people. When I was a champion, I was pretty dominant, I think, so I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah,
I would say somewhere around last season, pretty much the whole season was one of my finest moments. Yeah, I cannot really pick a special thing. Well, actually, I think my first race with ARL, it was around Silverstone, my favorite track, and it was right away a victory. So I think that's my finest moment, but I cannot really remember it precisely. And then
the worst?
Worst. Well, you have sometimes these moments when you get in the gravel or something and you just want to stop racing, like you want to stop everything and get out of the lobby where you're racing in, but it obviously doesn't work like that. I think worst moment, I think the battle last season with Alex around Suzuka, when Alex gave me a penalty, not the incident itself, but after the race. Yeah, just didn't had a good feeling about it. But yeah, these things happen, and you have to learn from it. There are a lot of worse moments happening sometimes when you get very deep in the gravel and lose a place, like I did in Silverstone. That's also quite a worse moment in my ARL career, but yeah, I definitely think it. What was I talking about before the Silverstone one?
The incident with Alex in Suzuka.
Yeah. That's it. That's my worst moment, I think.
Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate to see. I was a spectator for that. I was subscribed to both you guys watching that. And it's tough to even take sides on that one or anything. But that was definitely a low point. Certainly, that wasn't fun for anybody. I don't think any even Alex. He wasn't happy. Nobody was really happy about that. So yeah, those types of things are always unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right, the next question comes from Super Elite Gamer 123. He's one of the Box subscribers, and he's asking, what are your top 5 drivers of 2010 through 2013? I do believe that he's referring to the ARL drivers.
Yeah, that's right. Well, first of all, I'm not going to judge the people where I haven't raced with. So, Noble, 2909, all of quick people, they won't be included in this list because I simply haven't raced with them, so I cannot judge on them. I have only raced on the PC side, so no Xbox side or PS3 side for me. Only PC. So I joined in halfway season 3, and my main rival back then was Sisyphus 76, something like that. He was so quick, and that was really like my first experience with a rival. So he's definitely high on the list, but it's quite difficult to pick 5 people actually. Season 4 I became champion, which was very easy actually. So not really rivals there, but I had one rival back then actually. It was Zomaker. You might remember him. He's right now racing in Split 2. I think I'm going to put Zomager at 4, and then at 5, who's going to be at 5? This is quite difficult actually. I would say someone from last season, definitely. Last season was definitely a highlight. I'm going to choose Mikey. 5th place. Yeah, Mikey at 5th place. Very consistent driver. Very good. He has a complete package. He's quick, he's intelligent, he's smart. So yeah, Mikey at 5, Zomager at 4, then 3. I would say Christian, also known from last season, Christian Danov. 2nd, Victor, no doubt about it. Also a very good guy, very quick. But obviously no doubt about it who's at 1st. we all know that it is Alex Gillen. So yeah, that's my top 5. I might have forgotten a few guys, but that's mainly what I still remember. Especially Sisyphus, he was really like my first main rival I had.
Yeah, and I mean all of them great racing. I mean it's really a treat that the PC side gets so many fast people, because we've seen domination on the Xbox side from Noble, who you mentioned, and it's just really it's not as exciting, it's not nearly as interesting, and the PC, for the most part anyway, there's usually been someone to challenge up at the front, even if there is someone of your speed or Alex's speed. So we are kind of lucky to have so many great people on the PC side.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I can also see the response of some people, the reaction, their opinion. They want obviously Noble to join in with the top guys from the PC, and I would like him, to race against him, because I definitely want to compare our speed. Same for Alex. I think Alex will be delightful when he can race Noble, but fortunately that's not happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of people actually would like to see that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question from GMC and Tunes. He's got 3 questions. We'll do them one at a time. Question 1, you and Alex are very similar paced, but you have different driving styles. In your opinion, Alex is more aggressive than you, but also more consistent. Have you ever considered adjusting your driving style to a more aggressive one? And do you think it would give you an edge over Alex?
Interesting question, actually. First of all, I wouldn't really consider Alex being more aggressive than me. I think Alex is overall the more consistent driver than me, and I think I have a little bit more aggression, but not sure. I think that's my opinion, but you can have a different one, that's fine. Coming on to your question, I have never ever changed or thought about changing my driving style. That's just not how I am. I'm not going to change my driving style for a specific situation, or whenever you have a high tire wear track, or you know that you're going to struggle in the race. I'm not going to change anything, because I know normally when you change your driving style, it's going to end up worse probably than before. You start to make more mistakes because, well, most of the times you don't feel comfortable with what you do at that time, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I mean, it would be like if you were a righty, and you wrote with your right hand your whole life, and then just decided that you wanted to switch to your left hand.
Yeah.
The driving style's that inherent in a racer that to just change it suddenly would be difficult, and would require a lot of time and effort and skill as well. So yeah, that would be a tough one to change. And as far as the aggression, I think I don't think you can be champion without a certain level of aggression in F1 racing at all. You really got to be willing to push hard and take risks at some points if you want to win the championship. So yeah, I think pretty much everyone up at the top can call themselves or be called aggressive pretty much. Second question from GMC. ARL has or had 3 different platforms for their leagues: PC, Xbox, and PS3. If it was possible to make a league out of the best drivers of each platform, do you think it would be possible to beat Noble? And do you feel you'd be capable of doing so?
So if I get this question right, it basically says, like, when you combine all the top drivers, if I would be able to beat Noble.
Yeah, I think so. Like if you just combine the best of all of ARL to one platform.
Right, well, first of all, that would be very good. Very exciting races, no doubt about it. Could I beat Noble? I have no idea. Obviously, I have lots of respect for him. I never talk to him or anything, but I know he's quick. I don't want to talk to him. I just want to race him. I don't know, actually. I don't really think it's my job to say, like, I could beat him. I just have to focus on myself. If I can maximize everything that I have, in myself, I maybe should be able to beat him, but I don't know. I'm not really looking at the others. I'm most of the times looking at myself. Where can I improve, and hoping to maximize everything that I have every race. But it's too hard to judge, I think, if I can meet Noble. No doubt about it that he is very quick, but he's obviously also on a different platform, so I don't think you really can compare these 2 platforms that well. Difficult question to answer, I think.
Yeah, and I think it would kind of be unfair. You'd have to race each other, I think, in a completely different game to really know, and then also that wouldn't really be fair either. But for instance, if Noble decided to get F1 for PC, he wouldn't be used to it, and then you would almost certainly be faster. And then if you got F1 for Xbox, you wouldn't be used to it, and he would almost certainly be faster. So I think that's a hard one to actually do fairly. Because you would have to both be on equal standing on the game and platform that you're racing on, which just isn't the case at the moment. So yeah, that would be a tough one to pull off, but again, that's something everyone would love to see if possible.
Yep.
And then third and final question from GMC. I am subscribed to Box, and we thank you for that. And Justin is very entertaining. I thank you again. He is also quite slow. This is true. I mean, grandma slow. I don't know about the grandma slow. What tips would you give him to help him improve his speed?
Practice.
Yep. Yeah.
That's really it.
Pretty much it.
I mean, you can talk a lot about it, but in the end of the day, how I got a bit quick is to practice. There's no way you're going to get quick without any practice. You have to first of all, you have to know what racing is about, which lines do you have to take, stuff like that, where do you have to brake, and slowly but surely get faster and faster every lap. You don't want to start off by driving basically your head off. You want to take it slowly and after a couple of laps you will find a few tenths maybe, and then take it from there.
Yeah, yeah. And also, in my defense, I am still pretty new to all of this. I've had my racing wheel for less than a year, and I've only been league racing for 9 months now. It feels like so much time because I've done so much in the time that I've been with ARL. I've watched so many videos, made videos, done so many races, and I've learned quite a bit. And I am actually a lot faster than when I first started. But I mean, it's just practice, 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 and just learning the tracks and just being fast as well. My ability as a racer is more being able to predict what other people are going to do and stuff like that. It's not so much outright pace that other people have. You really want to try to have the whole package, but we can't all be Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then also he does say thanks for all the videos, man.
Oh, you're welcome.
Next question comes from Rakeshi, or Rakeshe. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Just bought a steering wheel and F1 2012 for my PS3 because of you, Ownage. I think my social life will cease to exist until I get sick of playing it.
Well, that could be very right. Next month I will get a new playseat as well, so you won't see me outside, only inside.
Ooh, that sounds nice. Next question comes from Jolly Hobo, and they ask, do you have any tips for getting quicker lap times? Also, how can you brake incredibly late?
Well, tips for quicker lap times, I basically said it like a minute ago. Just practice, and sometimes you get frustrated a little bit, but then take it easy again. Sometimes it's better to just take it easy, do like a slow lap, because sometimes when you do a slow lap it's actually quicker than you would expect, and you learn from that. So don't be over aggressive, just take it easy, stay calm, stay cool, should be good. And also the braking, there is like a point in your braking where you can push the brake. Let's say you can push the brake 80%. Let's say you lock up at 82%. So you have when you press the brake 80%, that's pretty much the maximum when you lock it at 82%. So there is a point where you can still brake at the maximum without locking up, and that point you will know that point when you do a little bit of practice. It's very difficult to explain, actually. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean the point changes too is the other thing actually that a lot of people don't really think about maybe when they're watching these races, is that depending on your fuel load and the tire life of your tires, how worn they are, and what compound you're wearing, that point changes from lap to lap as the race goes on.
Yeah, and also different corners. I mean, some corners you have to brake very heavily for them, obviously. But yeah, as I said before, there's like a point where you can brake at your maximum without locking up, and there's a point where you just simply brake too much and then lock up. So you get familiar with that optimal point after you have done a couple of of sessions, a couple of laps, just practice. And also you want to brake at the maximum and then slowly get off the brakes once you come close to the corner, to the apex.
As a side question from myself here, how much time do you spend on tweaking your brake bias and stuff like that, deciding whether you want to use high pressure or large discs or medium discs? How much time do you spend on that before the races?
10 seconds.
Oh, really? That little?
Yep. Brake. I pretty much use always the same brake balance, brake bias. It's always the same. I like the brakes a little bit more to the rear, so I can like a little bit trail braking sometimes in a few corners. That's really like my style, I think. Just what I like. The back end a little bit loose on the entry. That's what I like. But usually I just run very standard brake settings. But when I notice it's very easy to lock up, I just switch the brake balance a little bit more to the rear, and doesn't really need that much attention in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a perfect example of how there is no perfect brake setting. Alex Gillen tends to run very frontward on his brake bias, and you guys are very similar paced, even with the very differing braking style. So it's really about personal preference more than anything else.
Yep.
Next question comes from Tom Bryan. This is an interesting one, actually. I like this one. What tips could you give to anyone who wants to start their own YouTube channel?
Very, very good question. Very difficult to answer, I think. A lot of people actually say that it's good to have, a lot of connections or social media where you can share it on. I'm not really like that, to be honest. I don't really believe in the power of social media. It obviously helps, but it's more important for you to make good content. That's just it. That's just it. I mean, when you make good content, you get noticed, and most of the times when you get around 400 subs, it gets fairly easy. It gets very easy to get more subs, every day. But where you really should start with, I think, be careful of copyright. When you get into copyright troubles at the beginning of your YouTube account, you will have problems with that later on, definitely, when you want to become a partner and stuff. So definitely pay attention to that. Yeah, just make good content, and you should get recognized in all the other people who make less quality content than you. Yeah, that's basically it. I think obviously social media helps, but it's not going to help you right off the start, I think.
Right. Yeah, unless you got 10,000 friends or something like that.
Yeah, then yes, but I think at the end of the day, it's important to have good content. I mean, TGN, my partnership where I have my partnership with TGN, they approached me like 2 months ago, and they didn't approach me because I have so many subs. I think they approached me because of the the quality of my content. So that's something you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, yeah. I think as a basic suggestion, just to add on to that, I think one of the most important things with starting a new YouTube channel is that you pick content that you're passionate about. Because if you're passionate about the content that you're putting out, that'll show in the content itself, and people recognize that, and just as long as you're passionate about what you're putting up there, then you'll get that same passion right back from the viewers.
Yeah, good point.
And next question comes from Nikos Golini. I like the way you respect your subscriber zonage and the way you ask all the questions. I make you time to time. Okay. All the questions I make. Okay. Well, he likes that you make time for them. I keep it that way. Also, when you are going to have 10,000 subs, because I know you can do it, and I wish you to. As for a question, I don't have one. Just only a wish to watch someday the 3 or 4 best of every league to play together. Again, just everyone wants to see the cross-platform racing, and I mean the best from every platform. I would like to see you and Alex against Noble, Xmatty G, Tiamat, Marduk, etc. So yeah, just another person that really wants to see cross-platform racing.
Yeah, definitely, and well, thank you. First of all, but yeah, I think my approach to my subscribers won't change, even though I have 1 million subs. Well, it obviously will be hard to answer all the questions when I have like 1 million subs with a lot of comments. But I'll definitely try to keep the subs happy. I mean, you guys have brought me where I am right now. Basically, you guys have. How do you say that? You guys have helped me to become what I am right now in terms of YouTube. So yeah, you've got to respect that,
Definitely. I'm hoping after all this talk about cross-platform racing, maybe we'll see with F1 2014, which is going to be for PS4 and Xbox One. Maybe one day, hopefully next year or later this year, we'll see an F1 game where you can actually race cross-platform, PlayStation versus Xbox versus PC, etc.
Yeah, it will be interesting, but yeah, obviously you still have to look if that's possible for Codemasters to make.
Yeah, that'd be tough for Codemasters to handle, I think. But it would be really nice. Just to add something really quickly, there was a Need for Speed game, Need for Speed Underground, that came out many years ago for PlayStation 2, and that was cross-platform. You could race PS2 versus PC. So I'm really surprised we haven't seen more of that in racing games. I can't think of a single modern racing game that has cross-platform racing.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Okay. Next question comes from Jolly Hobo again. Actually, he asked the second question. Do you think you have become a much faster driver since you have joined ARL?
Um, Not really faster actually. There are obviously points where you learn from. I mean, you make mistakes to learn from them, and obviously it's also very important when you make a mistake to know what went wrong and what what should you do to prevent it in the future. But I think in terms of raw speed, not really. I would say a little bit because you get more practice, you get more experience. So yeah, that definitely helps. But in terms of pure speed, not so much. I think I definitely grew a little bit in terms of speed, but not so much, I would say. I think it's more, the overall package, which becomes better when you get, when you have experience with league races.
Yeah, like strategy stuff like that. I think that's where you get more pace, actually.
Yeah, sure, and just also, being consistent in the race. And yeah, as I said before, when you make a mistake before, you know that you don't have to, it's not needed to make that mistake again. So you learn from that.
Definitely. Next question comes from Roar87. I'm upset for ARL. The races were so entertaining, but I'm sure that you, Alex, and the other drivers will find a solution. And we did just do a race just yesterday, so we are still racing before anybody gets too concerned. Well, he's got 4 questions. We'll do them one at a time. First question: how did you become a driver of ARL? How'd you find out about it?
Um, there was a guy. He was from Belgium, and I cannot remember his name. But he had. I was subscribed to him, and he had F1 2010 league races, and they were from ARL. And I saw him racing against Sisyphus again, a big name back then. Um, and you should remember, at the time I was 13 years old. So at that time I was like, well, give it another year, then I might sign up as well. So I gave it another year, and yeah, just sign up for it. But it basically, I knew from ARL, thanks to those YouTube videos that this Belgium guy made. I cannot remember his name. No, cannot remember his YouTube or anything, but he was from Belgium, that's for sure.
And the second question: what do we need to take part in a league like ARL? Hmm. Oh, yeah. What would a person need in order to
I
do
get it.
league racing?
Yeah. Skills, I guess. You just have to be quick, obviously. Well, not really that quick. I think you have to be fair, especially in ARL. It's all about fair racing, I would say. Um, what's good to start off with is just the general knowledge about racing. So the racing lines, when you have to brake, the braking points, just the basics. If you can master that, I think you're pretty much ready to get into ARL, and then you will learn from that point on.
Yeah, yeah. I think patience too. You don't want to jump into a league and immediately expect to just be dominating or something like that. You want to be willing to put some time into it.
Absolutely.
Next question, number 3. How do you prepare for the race? How much time do you spend? Do you prefer to practice doing race or time trial? Is the setup important for you, or do you prefer to study the best racing line?
How do I prepare the race? Well, obviously you prepare it with practice, a few setup changes, even though I don't really like changing the setup. I think how much time? Quite a bit, but it depends, on how much time I actually have left in my real life. Yes, I have a real life. Yes, I go to school, so I have, you don't have all the time of the world, but definitely a good couple of hours, I would say, about 3 hours maybe. But most of the times it's all about the quali. I practice a lot of quali laps. Not so much race. I really like the quali labs, and most of the times when I practice for the race, I become a little bit sleepy because I don't really don't really like to practice the race in if it's not a league race, basically.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have the full 16 people most of the times.
Yeah, you're not
to
being
practice
pushed.
with. Exactly, so it becomes a little bit boring. And my preparation before a race is just, take it easy, do a little bit of talking on TeamSpeak before the race, have a little bit of fun, and then you should be fine for the league race itself. Is the setup important? In this game, I would say it's a little bit more important than in last year, but setup is important, about your comfort zone. So it's there to make you comfortable with the car. It's not to make the car fast. It's there to make you comfortable with the car. So it is obviously pretty important to get comfortable with the car. So I would say it's quite important, but it's definitely not everything. I would say that setup isn't really, for making you quick or anything.
And what about the racing line? Do you pretty much know your lines going into every track, or are you adapting all the time?
Oh no, I'm still learning, definitely. On tracks where you have a lot of corners following up, like on Hungary and on Suzuka, the first sector as well, you pretty much learn every time when you go through it. You are like, should I take this line? Maybe get a 1 meter more to the right hand side. I don't know. Sometimes I just record a few quali laps and compare them against each other. See what the best line is. So I'm trying to study the racing line because that's very important, not only in qualifying but also in the race, obviously. So I would say that the racing line is very important, and I'm doing my best on knowing the racing line well.
Interesting. I actually wouldn't have expected that answer. Final question from Roar87. We saw you struggling with tire wear during races. Will you do some changes in your setup and/or driving style, or will it be disadvantageous?
No changes. I said before, I'm not going to change anything. Not on the setup or driving style. Definitely not the driving style. Maybe set up a little bit, but like for last race, I didn't run full camber. Because it would pretty much eat up the tires, so I would more lean towards a setup change, but definitely not the driving style. Maybe a little bit of setup, but I don't like changes. So if the tire wear is really high and I know that I'm going to struggle, I will do a few things to the setup, but not the driving style.
Yeah, I think especially for a person of your pace, it would be better just to add in another pit stop rather than try and fiddle with things too much.
Yeah, true. And also when you make an extra pit stop, it becomes a little bit more exciting because you have to push a little bit more, which is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question comes from Sanju Souza. Now that ARL is closed down, do you think the interest from the game F1 of the ARL racers as well as the viewers will be considerably reduced? Do you think this is the end of days of the F1 game? Not literally, but do you see people losing interest?
Actually, quite an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think obviously ARL shut down. Is obviously not good. Let's be honest, it's not good, not for the racers, not for the viewers. But I don't think it's the end. I mean, as we saw yesterday, like Justin already mentioned, we just raced yesterday, and I am sure that my subscribers will still continue to follow that series. I don't know about you, Justin, but I presume you think as well that they are just going to continue watching those videos, even though it's not ARL anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't think people are watching just because it's ARL. And certainly whatever league is born out of the ashes of ARL is going to get the same respect that ARL got. Maybe not right off the bat, but pretty quickly, because it's going to be, all of the exact same people pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. But I do have to say that obviously when you are in a league as like ARL, it's obviously a very big league. I think it was like one of the biggest, if not the biggest. You get obviously a little bit more views because people are more interested to search for those videos instead of a league that is not very well known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, people were searching, for ARL. I mean, that's kind of how I got started out. I found Alex Gillen's channel, and then from there, I just started searching YouTube videos with ARL F1 2012 in them, and just kind of expanded my viewing from there. So it's certainly a hindrance, but hopefully, in the end, in the long run, it won't be too much of an effect.
Yep.
Next question from Tony Ng. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad with. I want to say that's Vietnamese. That's a tough one. He's asking though. Tony's asking, what wheel do you use? It's a G27, right?
Yeah, it's a Logitech G27.
And how long have you had that? Do you love it? I mean, I have the little brother, the Driving Force GT. How's the 27 though?
Well, obviously, difference between G25 and G27 is one of the differences that, like, you have the LED lights on the G27, but they are on the steering wheel, so you don't pay attention to them. So I wouldn't mind that if you remove them. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. I think it's about 2 years old now. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but actually, I'm not very happy with the pedals anymore. I want to get different pedals, club sport pedals. But they are quite expensive. But I'm definitely looking to replace my current pedals because I have had some issues with them, like my throttle. When you press the throttle completely, sometimes in game, your throttle will be like at 40% instead of 100. So
yeah.
That's quite annoying, but that is because of the potential meters, and they get a little bit dusty, so you have to get the dust out of them. But every time you open it up and screw it back again, it isn't the same as before. So
right.
Yeah, the condition gets worse and worse every time.
Gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, Logitech wheels. I gotta say, I'm a huge fan. I mean, they all seem to be really amazing. Next question comes from Tom Bryan, kind of similar to another question earlier. In your opinion, what is your best ARL race?
What race did I say before? I think.
Well, it was your best moment last time, and
yeah, right.
You said the championship. But if you had to pick a single race, what would that be?
I have to think about it. Hang on. This season, we haven't really got that many races, obviously. Actually, I gotta pick Monaco this season. I think.
That was an amazing drive.
Yeah, thank you. I don't really think it was the best, but it definitely was something special for me. And there were like 5 laps that were, consistently. I was like in my own world, basically. I was very focused back then to catch up to Smuffler and Alex, if you can remember it. At that time, I was really focused, like living in my own world, and those were good laps. But I think that's pretty much the only thing I can remember. I'm sure that there was a better race from my side, but I just cannot remember anymore. So I gotta pick one that has been, recently.
To be fair, though, that's a great choice. That really was. To go from last to second at Monaco in mixed conditions, really, yeah, that's definitely a good choice, I think.
Yeah, well, thank you, but he is asking me the best race. I don't think that I maximized everything there. Best race, I'm not sure. It was obviously a good race, don't get me wrong. But yeah, best race I cannot remember.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because also, best can mean a number of different things. Best could mean most interesting. Best could mean most dominant. So yeah, that's a tough one to pick. But yeah, I think that Monaco race is definitely up there. If it's not the best, it's definitely up there. That was a good one. Next question comes from Dabar. I actually have a question. What kind of gear ratio do you prefer? I have done a lot of testing recently because I noticed that in real F1 they are using very short gears. I've noticed that too. And it looks like they gain on acceleration more than top speed. In a game, it works beautifully in races when car is heavier, and most of the time DRS is not available. And my second question is, could you please pronounce your name and surname in your own language?
Let's start off with the first one. What kind of gear ratios do you prefer? Absolutely short gear ratios, no doubt about it. I'm not a fan of long gear ratios, so definitely short one. I like to keep it short, and in qualifying when you have DRS, usually I am in the rev limiter for maybe 3 or 4 seconds, because I just simply like the short shifting or the short gear ratios over the long one, definitely. And your second question, yes, I can pronounce it. It is Jeroen Kwekel. So there you go.
I was way off in my head. I'm glad he didn't ask me to pronounce it. Okay, next question. It's Panda Panda. That's their name. It's Panda Panda. Since ARL is no longer, I guess it's dead. So yeah, we could use that word. Since ARL is dead, I know Alex probably will continue running the league, but still, can you see yourself joining another league, perhaps race department?
When ARL closed, there were a couple of thoughts in my mind. I have a few friends who told me I should have joined race department. Didn't do it in the end. I have also thought about joining a R Factor league. You might remember the name Bono Hees, Bono House in my language, and he has been dominating the FSR R Factor series for F1, and I have R Factor as well, and I really enjoy that game. But I don't know. Since I heard that Alex was going to continue, then you cannot just suddenly leave the league. In my opinion, you have to still keep racing and just fight for it. You cannot say like I'm leaving.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, I would imagine that you probably had some thoughts about other leagues, but those were more precautions rather than anything else. You were just preparing for the worst, basically.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Joshua Cam. How do you keep your concentration going through the ARL races? So throughout the season, how do you keep your concentration?
Good question. And I know the answer. It is in the races you have to get a point you want to focus on. So like a challenge you want to give yourself, even though when you are in the lead, dominating the race, 30 seconds lead over P2, you still have to keep a challenge in your mind that you want to achieve during that race. So let's say the gap is 30 seconds to the car behind me. I want to make it 40 seconds. So you have a challenge in your head, make that gap 40 seconds, and you want to achieve that, which keeps you focused most of the times. It's not easy, definitely not. But I find that the best way to keep concentrated. But yeah, I'm definitely not always concentrated, especially not in a boring race, because I'm just a person who becomes very easily sleepy during a race when it's boring. But yeah, you have to keep yourself, you have to keep yourself honest, and have some challenges for you during a race.
Yeah, targets definitely help. Next question is another question from Nico Scalini. He has a small question. Why do you have XOwnage133 as a nickname, and what is the meaning? That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I made that name, I think, when I was around, well, what was it? I think 9 or 10 years old, I think, and it basically just came random in my head. I think it was first like Ownage 133, and then I think that name wasn't available, so I basically decided to put an X before it, and then make the name after that, Ownage 133. But looking back at it, it's quite a dumb nickname, but yeah, I don't care anymore. I mean, I don't care about my nickname.
So the number 133, that doesn't have any special meaning or anything?
No, definitely not. No, I actually hate the number 13, so no, it definitely has no meaning.
Well, with Pastor Maldonado being number 13 for this season, I'm sure you hate it even more now.
Yeah, definitely.
Next question comes from Awesome Laserman F1. Sweet name. What do you think will be the future of ARL, or whatever league is born out of ARL? What's the future hold?
Depends a little bit. You know, depends a little bit on the people who are controlling the league. I think people with big plans, I think they can achieve more than people who just want to keep the league as it is right now. Basically, so keep it small instead of thinking big. Basically, so I basically don't know if there's anything going. If there's a league coming right now, which will follow up ARL, I presume there will be, because ARL is obviously quite big. But I do think that some people will go to other leagues, so not everyone who was in the ARL community will still be there when there's a new league. But I definitely think it has potential. But again, I think it's also a matter who's in control of it.
Yeah, my biggest hope is that Fizzy and Alex and the other top people, who are controlling things. My biggest hope is that they work together. That's my main concern, is that I want everyone to be able to work together to try and keep as much consistency from the previous ARL as possible.
Yeah.
All right, next question comes from Racing for a Life. How do you learn the breaking points for each track? You kind of went over all that already, but if you want to add something.
No, I don't want to add something. I mean, yeah, you just break, and at the end of the day, I think you get a right feeling for it after you have done it enough times. So I think it's just all about practice, and yeah. Once you have done enough practice, you basically know when to break and where to break. So it's not an issue for me anyway right now. So, but when you're still learning, I would say have a point which you take throughout the whole race where you break, and yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I cannot really say anything more about it.
Do you always use the meter board markers, or do you use
No.
landmarks on the track to help you identify your breaking points?
I use curbstones sometimes,
Mhm.
so when there's a curb starting, I brake, but on some corners you have not really like a specific point. I mean, there are always trees around you which you can use. Well, not always, but a lot of times there are trees around you.
Yeah.
Which you can use, or like gaps between what's it called, at the side of the track, gaps between
the Armco barrier, right?
Yeah, the barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Gaps between the barriers. But some corners I take it naturally, so I basically have not really a braking point and just press the brakes. When my mind tells me to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It becomes like second nature at some point. You're not even really noticing it.
Indeed. Yeah.
Next question comes from ARL KOS. What would you say you are? I'm sorry. Would you say you are a better qualifier or a better racer? And would you rather be a better qualifier or racer?
I'm a better qualifier, and I would definitely prefer to be a better racer. That's it. Obviously, as long as there are no points going to be given in the qualifying, I would rather be good in the races, definitely, because that's where the points will be given.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. I mean, it only makes sense. I would say there are more tracks where it's beneficial to be a good racer versus a good qualifier. Certainly, there are certain tracks like Spain and Monaco where being at the front certainly helps a lot, but there's just not enough of those to make it that important.
Yep.
And final question comes from Jarvis01 Racing, another box sub. He says, huge congrats on the subs. I couldn't bear it when I saw that ARL had gone out of business. I hope that Alex continues the league. Now, to the questions. Have you ever had the feeling that you're just not going to be quick enough for a race? Have you ever felt like your championship hopes will go down? What do you do after a race? Do you reflect on it? Those sorts of things.
Well, thank you for the congratulations. Onto your questions. Have I ever had the feeling not going to be quick enough? Yeah, I think so. Especially last season with Alex. Obviously, we did some practice sessions, and from you know from Alex that he is very good in the races. That's something you know, and that's something you have to prepare yourself for. So you definitely think when you have Alex alongside you that it's going to be a tough race, but it's not impossible to have a good, good race. Maybe finish ahead of him, but not really like the position before a race that it was really going to be a very bad race or anything, and that I would end up lost or anything. No, I don't think so. Obviously you have some races where you think it's going to be tougher than on other tracks, but not really ever that I felt like I was completely out of shape or anything. And about the championship, well, definitely I had problems with that in season 5 when I was again with Alex in the Ferrari, I think it was. Basically my computer, it died, and my internet died as well. That season I had a lot of disconnections, and obviously your championships hope fade away then, and after I was like disconnected 3 times, I knew that the championship wasn't anymore possible, but that's okay. I mean, I can live with that. I don't want to be reminded with a lot of championship. I want to be reminded as a driver, who was consistent, who was fast. I think at the end of the day, I don't really want to be seen as someone who has a lot of championships. I want to be seen more as a good driver. But season 5, coming back on it, a lot of disconnections, championships hope fade away, and then basically my video card died. So that was pretty much the point I had to give up. I would be too dangerous for everyone else. Running with like 20 FPS, that's not going to work.
Right.
So I retired then. It was quite painful, but was ready for the next season to come back strong. What do I do after a race? I think sleeping. I like sleeping after a race. Do you reflect on it? Just when I finish a race, just talk a little bit on TeamSpeak with the other drivers, and then I just quit and sit down for a little while, take a little bit of a drink, and something to eat, then go to bed and just sleep because I like it. And then next morning I would think back about it, and obviously I record my races, so I watch them back, and I have some points where I say to myself, you should improve on that. Because again, I think making mistakes is good, as long as you learn from it. That's the biggest point. You've got to learn from your mistakes. That's, in my opinion, one of the most important things in the racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's part of what's gonna make you a faster driver. You can't learn from your mistakes if you don't make the mistakes first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no way you can be a very quick driver straight on. You have to first make a few mistakes and learn from them, as you said.
Absolutely. All right.
Right. Were that all the questions?
Yep, that is the last question.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for everything you did this video. So Justin, thank you very much. Your channel description, or your channel will be in the description. Box Gaming. Obviously, you can know Justin as FakeGhostPirate, and he's in the league as well, so you can sub him if you want. And Justin, have you anything to say?
No, just thanks. I had a lot of fun doing this, and hopefully we could do something like this in the future again.
Oh yeah, it was cool. So thanks again. And
my pleasure.
I think that's pretty much it. Okay, I think it's pretty much it. So I'll end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like. Thanks again to Justin. His channel is down in the description. Go have a look there. I'll see you guys next time. So thanks for watching once again, and goodbye.